Welcome to Halachot Niddah. This will be part 23 of the class. Today's topic, having relations during pregnancy. Rav David Yosef Shlita in his Sefer Taharat HaBayit is going to bring down two crucial halachot that I'm not really aware of how many people are aware of this halakha. The first one is, let's go with an introduction. We know that when a woman sees her period, she has to go ahead, she has to count the Niddah days, then the 7 clean days. Right before she counts the 7 clean days, she has to do a hefsek tahar, she has to do an internal checking. And also during the 7 clean days, she has to do an internal checking. We'll see this halachot be'ezrat Hashem b'li neder. And afterwards, she goes to the mikvah, and then she's permissible to her husband. Let's say this woman she saw on the first of the month, then 30 days later on the Onu Benunit, we say, the husband needs to separate from his wife because we're afraid maybe she's going to get a period now. Today's halakha is what happens that when she came back from the mikvah, when she was ovulating, because that's the best time when she can become pregnant, she became pregnant. Now, when the Ona Benunit comes from the last period when she actually saw her period, when the Ona Benunit comes now, she's in pregnancy stage. Are we going to tell the husband you should refrain from having relations with her at that period when she's anticipating the blood? Or are we going to say, no, look, if she's pregnant, no blood is supposed to come? So today, Rav David Yosef Shlita is going to explain to us that these first 3 months we're going to see right now, when he says chukar ubra, that the pregnancy is recognizable. These first 3 months, we're going to tell the woman it is preferable, it is proper for the husband to be stringent and refrain from having relations with the wife during the anticipated times when she's expected to get a period. To come back to this point of hukar ubra, that when a woman is pregnant in the first month and in the second month, even when she's going to the third month, you don't really see a stomach by her. It's only when she has a full 90 days from the time she became pregnant, only then do you start seeing a visible stomach by the woman. That's what Rav David Yosef's son goes over here. Me'uberet shehukar ubra. If you had a woman who's pregnant and her pregnancy is recognizable, dahainu shemalula shalosh chadashim shalimim miyom shenitabra, which means to say that she has 3 complete months from the day that she became pregnant. She has a count of 3 complete months from the day that she became pregnant. He puts over here in parentheses, Tishim Yom, 90 days. From the day that she became pregnant, 90 days later, you will see that her stomach is going to start to come out. That's when a woman is, you can tell that she's pregnant then. Now, why is this important to know? Comes Rav David Yosef and he says like this: the reason why we needed to begin with a pregnant woman where the pregnancy is recognizable, meaning 90 days later, where you can already see a stomach coming out, the reason why we had to say this is because already after 90 days, this woman has a status quo that she will no longer see blood. Excuse me. So therefore, we're going to tell the husband that 90 days later, on day 91, 92, and so on and so forth, until her pregnancy term is over, until 9 months, we're going to tell the husband that you're allowed to sleep with your wife without a problem. You don't have to worry for those for those periods that you would have to worry had she not been pregnant. But when are we going to give you this halakha? That's only after 3 months have completely passed. Because once 3 months have completely passed, we put on her the assumption, the status quo, that she's misuleked, that the blood has already left her, and she's no longer going to see blood. Now, can she see blood later on? Yes, she can. But do I have to worry for that at that moment? No, I don't have to worry. Until the blood doesn't come, I'm allowed to sleep with my wife. Once the blood comes, that's a different ball game that we'll see in the second case. So therefore, comes out from this halacha, a woman in her third month of pregnancy, if she hit after the third month of pregnancy on a benunit, from the previous time when she saw her, right, 3 months ago before she became pregnant, that on that period you don't have to be afraid of. Or it was a Veset HaChodesh, you don't have to be afraid of. Or if it was Veset HaFlaga, you don't have to be afraid of. We're going to see, even if she had a set of Veset, even if this woman had an established Veset, she saw 3 consecutive times, on the same day, the same time, everything the same. Doesn't matter. After 3 months, we put on her the status quo that the blood left her and the husband's allowed to sleep with her in the time of the period where she should have anticipated the blood to come had she not been pregnant. Okay? So that's what he says right over here. She is in the status quo of being removed from blood. She, in the absence of blood, that she's no longer going to go ahead and see any more blood. And the husband does not need to separate from his wife at the time when she's anticipating her period to come, had she not been pregnant. At that period, he doesn't have to worry now. So let me try to give you a case. Let's take 2 cases. Let's go with the first case. Case number 1. Sarah sees on the first of the month. So we know 30 days later she has to be afraid of the Oner Benunit, or she has to be afraid of the Veset HaChodesh, the day of the month, the date of the month, or she has to be afraid of the Veset HaFlaga, the interval, right? We spoke about different periods that a woman has to refrain from having relations with her husband. Now in this case that we're speaking about, this woman is not pregnant, so therefore the husband has to refrain in those periods. But what happens right now, case number 2, the same girl, but case number 2, where she saw on the first of the month, but 2 weeks later, after when she went to the mikvah, she became pregnant. Am I going to tell you that she has to be afraid of the Oner Benunit? Up to 3 months, we're going to tell you she has to be afraid of the Oner Benunit, or the Veset HaChodesh, or the Veset HaFlaga, or if she had a Veset Kavua. We're going to tell you she has to be afraid. We're going to see it's not halakha. The Rav David Yosef is going to say it is proper for him to be stringent, because we need to wait 3 months in order to make sure that she doesn't see, and then she's going to be removed from blood, and then we're going to tell you you're allowed to go ahead and have relations with her. But all this is after 90 complete days. However, Rabotai, all that is in the 3-month period of her pregnancy. But after the 3-month period of her pregnancy, even if she has an established cycle, we're going to tell you she doesn't have to worry, and the husband is allowed to sleep with her at that period. Why? Because she's misuleket damim. She has an assumption, we have a status quo, that she is no longer seeing blood after 3 months. Now I want to just try to define the word becheskat. The word chazaka is something like, I'm going to give it, I can say with the assumption, which is an also nice word in Hebrew, in English, to define it from Hebrew, or the status quo. Let me give you an example. Let's say a person gets lost. Let's say Reuven got lost in the fields. We can't find him. He got lost on Friday, for example. We find him 2 days later on a Sunday. But when we find Reuven, we see that the guy is dead. When did he die? We don't know when he died. We know he got lost on Friday, and we found him on Sunday dead. When did he die? When are you going to make the yortzeit? When are you going to make the askara? When is going to be the day of the burial? Meaning, which day are we going to look that he died on? Which day? So we have a principle of chazaka, that up to now, he had a status quo that he was alive. Or the assumption was that he was alive. So what are we going to do? We're going to tell you that Friday when he got lost, he was alive. Saturday when we couldn't find him, he was alive. Sunday until we found him, when we saw with our own eyes that he's dead, now we no longer have that assumption that he was alive. So we're going to tell you that he died Sunday at the time when we saw him. So that's what the chazaka is. Chazaka gives you the previous status of what you had. So this guy, when he gets lost, he has the status of being alive. So now when we find him on a Sunday and he's dead, question is, one second, when did he die? It could have been Friday, it could have been Saturday. It could have been any one of those days. But we have a chazaka, we have a status quo that's telling us that he was alive when he got lost. So it had to be that he was still alive until the moment you saw him, and then that's when he died. Meaning a few moments before he came, that's when he died. So that's a chazaka. So before we continue, let's see this one more time. If a woman became pregnant, we're speaking about a woman that had to wait 3 complete months. Once she waited 3 complete months, then we're going to tell the husband he no longer has to worry about the onot that she was concerned for prior to her becoming pregnant. We're going to say she has the chazaka that she musulek damim, and you are allowed to go ahead and have relations with her. However, during the first 3 months of her pregnancy, we're going to tell the guy to be stringent and not have relations with his wife because it might come. Just because a woman is pregnant does not mean that she's incapable of seeing blood later during pregnancy. It happens. I had a case, Rabotai, where a woman was pregnant but she saw blood. So the guy made a calculation, but she really saw blood. The guy made a calculation. If she's pregnant and she's seeing blood, doesn't go hand in hand, doesn't make sense. How can you be pregnant and have blood coming out of you? So he said that blood means nothing. What happened? He continued living with her. He had relations with her the rest of the 4 or 5 months that were left in the pregnancy term. Rabotai, he and she were doing prohibitions of karet. Isur karet. Every single time that he goes in and out, when he was with his wife, he was doing an isur of karet. Now the only thing over here is that if he really didn't know, we're going to say it's an accident, but still, it's a very big accident. It's an accidental sin which can cost them their life. He's like, Rabbi, don't tell me. No, please, Rabbi, don't tell me this. But what do you want? What do you want me to do? You can't make inferences like that by yourself. You got to ask a local rabbi. Ask a rabbi who knows. There was another case. I was teaching one time in the synagogue. So you have people that they like to scream out, they listen. It's one thing if you see with your own eyes, then tell me. It's another thing when you listen, the rabbi might be saying one thing, his intentions might be one thing, and then you're hearing it. Who says you're paying attention? You're hearing something else. So he comes to me and he tells me, listen to this. He says, the rabbi allowed me to have relations with my wife and spill the semen outside. I said, Chas v'shalom. I said, show me this rabbi. I said, it drove me nuts. I said, well, what does that mean? Let me see if I can. 1 second. It's in Even HaEzer. Give me 1 second. It's in Even HaEzer. I think it's in Siman Chav Gimel. No, Chav Bet. Just give me 1 second, guys. Let me see if I can find the Even HaEzer right over here. I think it's Siman. Siman Chav Aleph. No. Okay. It's in that range. Let me see if it's probably Siman. Let's see. Siman Chav Gimel. Could it be Chav Gimel? Chav Aleph. Let me see 1 second. I opened up the Even HaEzer. I said it can't be. Give me the rabbi. By the way, I called the rabbi, and you guys are gonna bug out on it. You guys are gonna hear what this rabbi had to tell me, and then you'll see what I mean with this. Here we go. Right. Good. Let's see. Okay. It's not Chav Aleph. It's not Chav Bet. Chav Gimel. Even HaEzer Siman Chav Gimel. Halacha Aleph. I know it was there. Just don't remember what Siman. Okay, not so bad. Look what it says, boys. I want to read word for word, letter for letter. Rabotai, it's a halacha in the Shulchan Aruch. When I took out the Shulchan, you have to understand this is the difference when you learn, when you see, versus when you hear. So let's go back. What did he tell me? He says, I was having relations with my wife, and the rabbi gave me permission to spill semen outside. I shouldn't finish basically inside of her. Okay, no problem. No, let's see it. Even HaEzer Siman Chav Gimel, that's 23. Halach Aleph, that's number 1. Look what the Shulchan Aruch says. Asur lehotzi shichvat zera levatala. It is forbidden for one to go ahead and spill his semen in vain. Ve'avon ze chamur mikol aveirot. And this sin is more severe than any other sin shebatorah in the Torah. Rabotai, listen what he says. Asur lehotzi shichvat zera levatala. It is forbidden for a person to take out seminal emission in vain. Ve'avon ze chamur mikol avirot shebatorah. This sin is more severe. This sin is severe from any other sin in the Torah. People come tell me, Rabbi, what's wrong if I sit mixed? What's wrong if I go to the beach? What's wrong if I go to this party? What's wrong? Rabbotai, I'll tell you what's wrong. You want to speak, man to man? I'll tell you what's wrong. When you go to these parties and you see things you're not supposed to see, almost 99.9%, I'm sure, Rabbotai, you coming back home, you're doing something. If not you doing it, chas v'shalom lo aleinu, somebody's doing it for you. If not somebody for you, you'll see it in your dream. It's gonna. Rabbotai, I don't want to get too honest right now. But do you know how many people tell me, Rabbi, I have a problem. I have a lot of wet dreams. Wet dreams. Why am I saying I'm trying to guard myself? Idiot! It's not guarding yourself only from masturbation. It's guarding your eyes. If once your eyes see, it's very hard to control yourself. It's the eyes you have to guard. The jewels. That's why when you hear people say, or the rabbis are going to tell you, minhag, the custom, it's okay, shalom bayit, it's all baloney. Not, Rabotai doesn't exist. Ask them one time. Ask them one time to show it to you where it's written inside the book. I want to see one time. Any one of them that say it to me, just show me where it's said. I'll tell you better. Let them take a pen. Let them take a paper. Let them take a pen and a paper. Let them write it themselves. Minhag olam. Put their name and bring it to me, Rabotai. We'll take away his smicha. I'll make him go out of his job. Chutzpan to be machtia rabim like this, to make many people sin like this. Shalom bayit, you could go. You're allowed to go to the concert. Your wife wants to go to the beach because you have to take care of the kids. You're allowed to go to the beach. Oh, the pool is mixed but you need to help your wife. Idiot! Your wife is not supposed to be there. You're not supposed to be there, and your children are not supposed to be there. That's the bottom line. But he's not gonna say it. The rabbi's gonna open his mouth. He's gonna lose his position. Let's get back to the story. Listen what he says. Comes the Shulchan Aruch, Rabotai, Rabbi Yosef Karo, and he says like this: Lefichach, therefore, lo ye adam dash mi bifnim. A person should not penetrate inside, meaning he shouldn't go inside his wife. V'zoreh mi bachutz, and he shouldn't sit outside. Many people, Rabotai, come with this claim. I have a relation with her, and my wife pushes it sometimes. It's one thing when he does, he comes, whatever. But it's another thing, sometimes the woman, they don't want to become pregnant, they push the guy out, and I've heard, Rabotai, my ears heard, that they would have to finish on the side because she didn't want those sperm to go inside of him. It is asur, it is forbidden 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%, Rabotai, you have no idea what's waiting for them. Okay, then he says, do not marry a young girl that's not fit for marriage. That's not fit for giving birth. Rabotai, halakha shulchan aruch. Now, when I read this halakha to this guy, the crazy part was, but this rabbi, big rabbi. Yeah, I know, everybody's big. Everybody's big until you open the books. All right, until you open the books, everybody's big. Once you open the books, nobody's big. But anyway, this rabbi, I knew this rabbi. So what do? I came to Rabbi Walken. I'll never forget this day. I'm sitting with Rabbi Walken, and I say, Kvod Rav, how could it be there's the halakha in the Shulchan Aruch, and there's this great rabbi, excuse me, there's this great rabbi that allowed such a thing. He looked at me and says, you tell me who this great rabbi is. I want to hear his name. I was sitting in front of 10, 50 people in the class, students. I said, Rabbi is Lashon. He said, you don't worry about Lashon right now. You tell me who the person is. I said the name. He said he said it. He says, I want you to call him right now. I said, I don't have his number. He said, I'm going to give you his number. The rabbi had his number. By the way, he's a very big giant, humongous giant, Rabotai. So I said, Rabbi, I'm not going to speak to him. I'm afraid to speak to him. He says, never be afraid to say the truth. I say, yeah, but he's a rabbi. He's not, who? I was only become religious, and this guy is a giant in his 60s, 70s maybe. He said, I don't care. If you have the truth, you say the truth. That's it, finish. I said, I'm not going to say rabbi. You want to say, you could say it. I told him, nice. He's a rabbi. He said, you call, I speak. I said, fine. And Rabotai, I can't tell you. When we told this rabbi that did you allow a guy to penetrate inside his wife and then spill semen outside, you know what this rabbi said? Chas v'chalila. He said, Chas v'shalom. And immediately this rabbi said, I know who this guy is. Immediately, look how smart he is. He said, I remember this person. He came to ask me for permission to wear condoms, whatever it was, Rabotai. I have to speak very straight, Rabotai. People have to understand. He said, in his particular situation, what happened was, there's a Shut Tzitz Eliezer, I think, Rabbi Waldenberg. Rabotai, don't use this without asking rabbis, all right? Please don't use this. But this particular couple did have major problems. They had major problems where they were not able to have, they were not able to continue having relations just like that. Why? Because if she was going to become pregnant, it was danger to her life. Something would have happened. She would have died. It was a lot. It was a lot that went inside. So this rabbi said, he paskin. He says whatever. Rabotai, I don't want to say it's lie. I don't want to. It's being recorded. I don't want to say all the details. I don't want people to take this halach out of context. Always ask your local rabbi what to do. Nevertheless, this big rabbi told this guy he gives him permission to wear condoms. Okay. So, but how to get to that halacha? He said that what happened was, when he came to you and he told you that he would penetrate and then spill outside, that I never told him. I said, fine, no problem. I called back the guy, I said, the rabbi said he never told you, only told you you're allowed to wear condoms. You know what the guy said? I made an inference. What's the difference? If it's inside the condom, it's not going in her, or if it's outside, it's not going in her. So therefore I said, why should I spend more money on condoms when I could just spill it outside? Idiot! It's a very big difference. And this Rabotai over here, this is what we want to show you. Do not make your own inferences. People make these mistakes. Day in, day out, Rabotai. I can't tell you how many stories come my way, Rabotai. How many stories? Why? Because we're ignorant from laws. Story, everybody likes story, musar, story. I'm happy. I give Rabotai. I give musar, chumash, mishnah, whatever you want. Yeah, there's lectures on this. But halachot, we have to know halachot, especially halachot of Niddah. In any event, Rabotai, let's get back over here. He tells you over here, after the 3 months have passed, the husband does not need to separate from her during a period. Even if she had a fixed veset prior to becoming pregnant. After 3 months, we don't have to worry. Why? Because now she's muslek damim. Now we have the chazaka, we have the status quo that she is removed from blood.